Is that submission or is that survival?
I think it's survival. I mean, I went to a girl's house one time, right there by Lapu Lapu, and she stayed in a squatters village, and she literally is right on the edge. Is what I can show you the squatter village. You ever go there? It's right on the edge of the water, and it's up on stilts. So when the water raises, and they shit right in the water, and that's how she's living. So when she's trying to survive, she wants anybody that's gonna improve her life and improve her family's life.
Are we looking for love or leverage? It's my opinion that most women in the West, USA, are raised to be independent and not dependent upon a man, starting with Gen X and beyond. My mother instilled that into my two sisters. Yeah. And let's be honest, man, I've instilled some of that into my daughter because you can't get around it, man. You want to protect your daughter because there are bad men in the West, and there's no guarantee she's going to end up with a man regardless. But on the flip side of that, you do need to teach them what being vulnerable looks like, what cooperation looks like. And I think that in this society, that part is not being taught. We're taught to be go-getters. We're taught rugged individualism. Everything's about me, me, me. On a whole, we know this about America, but we just don't apply it to everybody, that it affects everybody. We'll take it and we'll put it just on the men, just on us. You want a traditional woman. You want a woman with these family values that's built into the culture over there. And don't complain about having to take care of the family, like somebody was saying earlier. Oh, you got to take care of the whole family. I don't think the whole family, but the immediate family. Yes, that's how that culture is. Not all of them, not everybody, not everyone, but yes, the mother, the father, the younger siblings, probably, yeah.
That's what traditional meant here back in the day. When you go back 100 years ago, you had grandma and grandpa, mom's mom and dad, dad's mom and dad, maybe some uncles, aunts, cousins, all living under the same roof. That was not uncommon here. And yeah, when the neighbor next door had a problem, guess what? It became your problem too. You went over there and helped them out. If their kids were getting out of line, you straighten their kids out. They'd straighten your kids out. It's not that way. That was traditional back then.
Not that way now. Yeah, I remember that. I remember
You
like
remember?
aunts and cousins coming to live with us when we were little. Like that was the shit for us. We loved that. I loved it, but
That used to be normal
anymore.
here.
Yeah, it was normal. It was normal. Now it's not like.
But it still is in the Philippines. It still is in the Philippines, and I mean that's just part of what you'd have to deal with over there. Like I said, I don't understand guys who go over there thinking they're going to reap all the benefits and the baggage that comes with it. I mean, that's unrealistic.
Because I know for a fact, absolute fact, that some men go overseas and find problems and they're okay with it. And they put up with shit that they wouldn't put up with in the West. They wouldn't. But for some reason, they're happy. I can't.
I was going to say, I think that would be a positive part of moving overseas, in the Philippines in particular, because you really could reinvent yourself. You're leaving this culture over here, which, I mean, let's be honest, it does favor aggressiveness. It does favor, ruthlessness, cutthroat attitude, win at all costs. That's capitalism for you. That's how it works. And when you move to a place like the Philippines, where that's not their primary motivator in life, is not getting to the top at all costs. I mean, there's some people there that are like that, don't get me wrong, but as a culture, they're more cooperative with their neighbors, with their family, looking out for each other. And I think that's the thing, is that with the Western mindset, a lot of these guys, they don't understand that there's a sense of responsibility that these people have for their parents, for their kids, for their greater extended family that a lot of us don't have here in the United States.
I don't get where we expect American women somehow to stay home and just raise our kids and be homemakers. It's not realistic for the majority of society. It's just not. I just don't think that it's very likely that you're going to be able to afford that in America. Not all of the guys. Most of the guys that I hear going overseas are complaining about the prices in America, complaining about the rent and the mortgage prices, complaining about the grocery prices. They're complaining about money in America. All of a sudden now we want women to stay home and not work. Not in America. It's not going to happen. And that's what I'm getting at in this whole live stream today, is that we don't acknowledge the societal pressure on our women here in America, but we'll get online and we'll complain about them being masculine, being independent, but we'll turn right around and complain about the same societal pressures on us that we don't acknowledge exist on our women at the same time. I think women need to feel secure with her man in order to be vulnerable and feminine. Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to get to be able to embrace their femininity, man. They have to have a true man. And honestly, the true version of masculinity is not being taught either nowadays.
Like you said, the country we live in, you almost have to have two incomes to survive and live a lifestyle that you can be comfortable in, unless one of the people is making a hell of a lot of money. And most people aren't. Most people don't have enough money to support a full family with one income in this country. It's just the facts. And live the way that most people want to live, put it that way. And if you want, like you said, if you want a traditional woman, you got to be a traditional man, which means you foot the bill. You are the one going out and working. You're the one providing. You're the one stepping up, doing everything. And most dudes don't want to do that. And you can't have it both ways. You can't have
Yeah.
it both ways. You just can't. There's nothing wrong with a man who wants a woman who wants to stay in that quote unquote traditional role, that wants to stay home, raise her kids, take care of the household while he provides the income, whether he's working or he has a retirement or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. And I understand why a lot of men want that. Ain't nothing wrong with it. As long as you got two consenting adults, nobody's being forced to do something, there's nothing wrong with that. But everybody has to agree with it ahead of time.
You got to play your part, man. And
Yeah, Cisco's point is this ain't 1970 no more. You're going to need to be able to afford at least two cars. I mean, that's just the reality. Back in the 1970s, they had one car for the family. Them days are done. So you have to be able to at least afford two cars. And she's going to have a car under 5 years old because she's the woman. Be able to buy a house in a decent neighborhood because you don't want your children going to the wrong school. I mean, all those things come into play now for Americans.
A lot of these cats are so wrapped up in the fantasy of, oh, I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna meet her, I'm gonna court her, I'm gonna fuck her, I'm gonna make her mine, that there's no actual thought to it after. And the same cats are a lot of the ones that you'll find that are miserable or complaining all the time. Have 3 or 4 kids and feel trapped in the Philippines, and will complain about it every second, much to the chagrin of everyone around them, because they didn't think about that what after. They were chasing pussy instead of peace.
yeah,
And
short term
that
pleasure.
only gets you so far.
Are we looking for love or leverage? What would be the outcome if every Western woman were to switch places with every foreign woman? Well, it might be the same. Might not be. Dr. Pilolo says Western women have the same economic power Western men have. They travel, they do sex tourism, they're looking at other potential mates from other countries as well. Yeah. And I think therein lies some of the problems that we face. We, as American men, do not have the leverage. We do not have leverage. Are we looking for love or leverage? I know there are some bad ones, right? But we like to pretend like you can't teach your daughter to follow any man. That's a recipe for disaster. She'll follow the wrong man. Her life will be hell. True. I always raised my daughter to be independent. I didn't want her dependent on anyone. But that's the crazy part about it though, because so we're raising independent women. I'm guilty of it too. We're raising independent women, but at the same time, we're complaining about independent women. Go-getter says a woman can be feminine and successful. It just depends on your definition of success. Yeah, but to be successful, the amount of pressure that's placed on her, just like us. So does the blame lay on the system that places the same amount of pressure and weight on our women that men have traditionally carried? We live in the West, man. We complain about these things. Oh, we need 2 incomes to survive. You know what I mean? The prices are high. Our women are being pressured to go to school, to get a job. You know what I mean? They're not being taught to seek husbands. And even if they were taught to seek husbands, can they truly, truly rely on that individual in these days and times to do it all? You know, because a lot of men today are complaining about the burden of masculinity. You know what I mean? So I think the pressure placed on our women are told and taught to be independent from a young age. They're told to be successful. They're told to pursue a career. And a lot of the pressures that society places on men is placed on women too. You know what I'm saying? Go-getter says they are being taught to think they do not need a man. Yeah, they are. But what we got to realize is that women are a lot of times reactionary. You know what I'm saying? And if we're carrying around this hurt and pain, if we're getting fed up with women here, and a lot of us, let's be honest, a lot of the guys you hear talking, going overseas, a lot of them are doing it because they got their hearts broken. You know what I mean? They got their hearts broken, man. They had relationships fail and they had a rough time with it. You don't think women are feeling that same thing? You know what I mean? I'm not pandering to women. Believe me, I'm not a panderer. I just seek reality, man. I just want to talk real talk. Go-getter said, what's wrong with being sought after? I didn't say anything was wrong with being sought after. What I said is people don't really recognize that you're not better just because you got on a plane with that same $2,000 that you had here. You know what I mean? And the only reason you're sought after overseas, and I'm not saying this for everybody, is because of your higher economic status. Like, everybody will beat around the bush and try to say this, but they just won't come out and say it. They're just not coming out and just saying this part, man. Calvin says it all the time. It's not your damn looks. Look in the mirror. I've been over there. I seen some of those guys. I said in his chat earlier, damn, if she would choose between me and that fucking guy, then I'm not nothing special. It was who got off the plane first, me or some fucking 68-year-old, 300-pound guy. He got off.
I want to iterate Cisco's point because I think it's a very valid point. Because me and my brother talk about it all the time. He said my brother has a daughter, and he said if my daughter dated Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, and she didn't have a new car and a new house, I'd be like, what the hell? Man, he's trash. And that's how it is for them when they get a foreigner. They just look at him like, you don't have a car yet? Your life hasn't improved yet?
Yeah, why are you with him?
Is it the women or is it the society? That's a big question. Because if you guys know me, you know I don't do the talking points, man. I don't got time for that. I don't really got time for all the talking points. That's the easy part. But we as men, we need to really start using our minds, using our critical thinking skills. You know, has our society changed what femininity means? Everybody talks about it. Has the society that we grew up in, the pressure cooker that we grew up in, is that pressure being forced upon our women also? Can a woman in the West actually afford to be feminine, traditional? Can she afford to be like? Let's ask this question. This is getting deeper than the talking points that you hear online all the time, man. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to blame nobody. I'm just trying to paint a clear picture of what we're talking about, man. You know what I'm saying? I believe that a woman in America can't afford to be as traditional and submissive as a woman in the East. So let's talk about the basic traits of femininity, foreign versus domestic. Femininity, for the most part, means like nurturing, supportive, and a soft power, soft guidance. You know what I mean? And that understanding of femininity is global, right? It should be global. But can that exist in the West, in the society that we live in? That's what I'm talking about, man. And I'm going to open it up. I'm just trying to lay some groundwork. And you guys know it's an open panel. So we could talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. This is the topic. Can a woman in America, can every woman in America afford to be docile nowadays? Think about it, bro. Really think about it, man. Think about some of the men you know out here. You know what I mean? That will absolutely take advantage of every woman they could. They'll do horrible things to them. They'll fuck them and leave them pregnant, whatever. We have to be real about what's going on around us. We like to focus on the women. And I have been asked that plenty of times, Blizz, you don't tell the women how it is. You don't talk to the women. And you always focus on the men and what we're doing. I say, yeah, because we need to fix ourselves first. We got issues too, man. None of us are perfect, but we're always over here pointing a finger at the women. Always. But then when you try to talk to us about having boundaries and standards, we don't listen to that shit. Then when you try to tell men stop sending money overseas to women you never met, they don't listen to none of that stuff. I think masculinity is responsibility, it's protection, right? It's also integrity and honor. It's a lot. It's a lot that comes with that true masculinity, man. And it's also legacy, what we leave behind for our kids, the people coming behind us.